Divorce Television with Wally Marcus. Our topic today, collaborative divorce with attorney Robert Michael Hersch. Support for Divorce TV is made possible in part by funding from the Center for Divorce Mediation, 577-1202. Welcome to Divorce TV. I'm your host, Wally Marcus. I've been a divorce mediator for over 25 years, and our topic today is collaborative divorce. And our guest is attorney Robert Michael Hersch, who is a longtime Tucson collaborative divorce attorney. We met a long time ago, actually, in Boston, before I came to Tucson full-time. So I remember you from a long, long time ago. If you want more information about our show, periodically you'll see flashed in the bottom of your screen our names and our website. You can check out the website for future shows, more information about attorney Robert Michael Hersch, and you can email us at that address, and we're interested in hearing from you so we can know about other shows you'd like to do or questions that you like us to answer on the TV show. Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been an attorney in private practice in Tucson since July of 1988, and I handle some various issues. I do handle divorce and collaborative divorce, and I also do some other civil practice areas such as real estate, business, and estate planning.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about what collaborative divorce is? What's it mean?
Well, it's a very interesting concept. Collaborative divorce was started by some lawyers. One lawyer, his name is Stu Webb in Minnesota, and some other lawyers in Northern California about 15 years ago, I think. And the concept of collaborative divorce, the story that Stu likes to tell, which is probably useful to repeat, is that he was driving home from a divorce hearing or trial in Minnesota, and he had won. And he felt awful. He was drained, his client was drained, it cost his client a fortune, and he thought to himself, there's got to be a better way to do these kinds of disputes, to handle these kinds of disputes. So he got involved with some other people in developing a concept that is now known as collaborative divorce. And basically the idea is that each party, it's different than mediation, where mediation, and I know you do that and I've done that as well, the mediator is a neutral third party helping the parties to come to a resolution. That's still a very good model. But collaborative divorce involves what we call a teamwork approach, where each spouse has an attorney. We also have people that are trained as divorce coaches, who are mental health people that are trained in this process. We also have independent financial specialists that work with us. So not every case needs to have the full team.
How do you decide what members of the team are going to participate or not?
I think what we do is we offer this to the clients. We let the clients know that this is the way the full team model works. For example, with the financial specialist, if it's not a complicated or it's very simple in terms of the finances, then that may not be appropriate. But what we do then is that in the collaborative model, is that we agree to handle the divorce in a non-adversarial way. It's not that it's necessarily easy or that everybody is nice to each other, although we try to be respectful. The idea is that we have as many what we call four-way meetings with the lawyers and the clients, and maybe with the financial specialist. We have as many meetings as we need to, where we all get together and we brainstorm all the different possibilities so that we come up with ways in which we can settle the divorce to everybody's advantage.
One of the questions I sometimes hear about collaborative, and sometimes in mediation as well, is people say, isn't it cheaper to have two attorneys than it is to have a coach and a therapist and attorneys and everything else? Is that the case, or what is?
Is it cheaper to have?
Yeah. So is it less expensive? Sometimes people feel because there are all these people involved, it's going to cost them more money. Does it really cost them more money or not?
Well, I think what you're comparing is we don't like to say that collaborative divorce is always going to be cheaper than an adversarial divorce. But in my experience, most of the time it is. Because what happens in an adversarial divorce is that you're having to subpoena records, you're having to use the court process for hearings. Even though most cases settle, in an adversarial case, they settle right up at the end, and in the meantime, the whole tenor and the whole mood is different than in the collaborative process.
So you're saying even though there are less people, there's more time that's going to spend on that, and a lot of wasted time.
A lot of wasted time. The whole attitude is different, where you're being respectful to each other. You may have different interests. We try to focus on what each party's interests are, as opposed to taking a hard and fast position.
Is that also maybe how about post-judgment? Do you find that there's less post-judgment problems in a collaborative case than an adversarial case?
Yes, which is a very good point. That by using this process, the collaborative process, to work out a settlement, we find that people are, because they're actively involved in creating it, that it works for them.
Once again, every time I forget to do this, I want to flash on the screen again, whoops, where they can reach you. Sorry, the wrong slide. I'm still learning this thing. I'm a great divorce mediator and working that law, but doing TV is I'm still learning. Anyway, if you want to get in touch with Attorney Robert Michael Hersch, there's his website and his telephone number, so you know where to get in touch with him. We were talking once again about collaborative divorce. Do the collaborative cases get to trial at all, or
no? The whole concept behind collaborative divorce is that we sign an agreement, all of us in the beginning, the lawyers and the spouses, that in the event that the case does not get resolved in the collaborative mode, that the attorneys would have to withdraw, and the parties would then have to get their own attorneys to do the adversarial process.
Make sure I understand it. Let's repeat that one, because I think that's really the distinctive factor in what is collaborative divorce. You want to run by that people one at a time, just in case they missed it?
Well, the idea in collaborative divorce is that we're not going to be, we're not handling a divorce in the way that an adversarial process is done, which is frequently done with sort of an underlying threat that if you do what I want, if one spouse doesn't do what the other one wants or doesn't agree to something like that, that they can run to the court and ask the judge to do it, which is going to be stressful, which is going to be expensive.
So you have one less weapon in your arsenal here.
Well, but it changes the whole tenor. What we say in a collaborative is we're not going to do that. We agree not to run to the court. We're going to be adults. We're going to work out our settlement together for as long as it may take, and meeting together. We're not going to filter the conversation between one client, their lawyer, who then spins it a little bit, perhaps, which is, the way it may happen, which is part of our training. That lawyer then talks to the other spouse's lawyer, who may spin it a little bit, and then the information finally gets back to the other spouse. We're all together in the same room, coming up with different proposals, and then creating our own proposals that work best for everybody involved. But the kicker is that we say that if it falls apart, which really doesn't happen very often, I don't think I've had one that's happened so far, then the lawyers actually have to withdraw, and then the parties have to get new lawyers.
This is really cutting edge, by the way. I mean, if any of you have seen the movie Juno, in the divorce case in Juno, the couple actually says we're getting the latest thing, we're doing a collaborative divorce, and in I think it's the April 21st issue of Newsweek, which is I think called Splitsville on the cover, talking about these kids talking about what their parents' divorce were and how to change things. They also talk about collaborative divorce, so it's certainly getting a lot of publicity in that area.
It has been. And I'll tell you what's really fascinating, and you had mentioned that we met in Boston a couple of years ago. There's an international association called the International Association of Collaborative Professionals. And that group has it has an annual forum, which is where we met in Boston. I've gone to the one in Boston, the one in Atlanta, and I just last fall, several of us in our local practice group went to Toronto, which was fascinating. They have annual forums or seminars, and people from all around the world come to these seminars. So there's not only a lot of collaborative law groups like we have here in Tucson, and we have a website, by the way, it's called divorcewisely.com, which is our collaborative practice group.
Do it one more time so people can find it.
It's divorcewisely, one word.com. For our group is called the Collaborative Law Group of Southern Arizona.
And if you give that to me, I'll put it on our website, and if people want to catch it, because I don't think it's on there. But if you go to our website, as I said, you'll get that kind of information.
And when you go to these annual conferences of the collaborative groups, there are people not just from all over the United States, Canada, and it's fascinating. There are people from Australia, Italy, Germany, France, all over the world. This is becoming a very large movement.
Actually, Tucson's is really the home of collaborative, because I think the current, or she just left as president, Rita Pollack, is from Tucson part of the time, and the executive director of is also from the Phoenix area. So collaborative law is a big thing in this area.
That's right.
If you've had expert witnesses, if the collaborative case falls apart, and there have been witnesses or people, specialists in the case, can they still participate in the case or not?
No, everybody that